Yeah. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for allowing us to be able to spend some time over a meal with Hungarian, and we just get to learn more about each other and help grow your kingdom and spread your word, Lord. So we thank you for this food, for nourishment of our bodies. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Eat. Okay, so Aaron, what questions you want to ask us, man?
Ooh, I'd probably say first question actually just to start eating. Is there always like a something you think of before you eat? Like every time you eat?
Ooh. I think of...
I don't know.
When I eat something really good, especially if I made it, I just think of, I gotta write this down. Especially if it's something like good that I like have made for the first time. My first instinct is to write it down because I have a recipe book that I started developing. Talked a little bit about how I lived in Hawaii for a couple months.
Okay.
And that's when I first started making my own recipes. That's when I first also writing down everything that I would make. Because before I would just do it from memory pretty much. I never really followed recipes, but I was like, I want to actually be able to sell or like have a full like list of every recipe I've ever thought of. So I can go back to it, you know, on a day maybe I can't think of anything to make or that. And we referred to it a couple of times.
Yeah, we have.
I think I asked that because every time, like, I don't know, I can be anywhere. I can be eating McDonald's. And, like, I try not to eat that as much, but I can't say, like, I think about, like, what if somebody, like, never got to try this before?
Yeah.
Like, how would I explain this to them?
Huh.
And, like, can't really do it with McDonald's. I wouldn't want, like, I wouldn't want to be able to explain that. But I'd probably say, like, I probably think of that, or I probably think of, like, my family. Just because it's, most of the time, like, when I ate, the best memories be with somebody else. Like, eating with somebody.
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty of, I'm telling you, a couple of days ago, when we messaged you, I was just sitting thinking like, man, I love food. I'm always thinking about food. I love food. Like, it's a passion of mine. I think that there's something so beautiful about, like, all this stuff came from the earth, right?
Yeah.
And it's nutrients, and we eat it. And like, food is so much more than just fuel for our body.
That's true.
Like, whenever you meet up with people, friends, family, or even strangers, like, one of the first things you do, like, when you're meeting up with somebody is, let's grab a cup of coffee. That's what we did with you, right? Like, that's just something that you naturally do. Like, and coffee's not necessarily food, but it's a drink, and
conversation comes behind.
Yeah. Like, you know, grabbing meals with friends, and I remember up at school, I was in part of a couple of Bible studies, but pretty much every single one we met over a meal, meet over dinner, meet over lunch, and it's just something so natural about it, you know.
Maybe, I mean, for me, I think it's a vulnerable place just because some people eat crazy. Some people they eat crazy, but I think there's no way to eat cute, basically. Like, you have to. So it's like, if it's good, it's good. If it's like not, you be like, well, I'm gonna have to bear with it.
Well, I got a question for you. What has been your main motivation to create videos, interviews, just creating in general? I know we talked a little bit.
I got you.
About, because I mean, obviously you play football, right? So I'm sure you had this drive, like this competitive drive, like, so like when you transfer it over to obviously video making and writing and all that.
I got you. I say for me, I think it's from story writing.
Right.
Like, I've written my entire life. Like, I never knew story writing was like what I wanted to do, or like being a storyteller.
Yeah.
Like, I never knew it was that, but I knew I always wrote. Like, I can always, after a football game, I would write before I actually did my homework. But I never just paid attention to it. I just
after
thought it
a
was
football
like,
game?
Yeah, because I mean, I had homework, so I was like, let me make sure I can get this done prior so I can spend my weekend however I want to like do it. But I think after I stopped playing football, I was really trying to figure out like, oh man, what was I like? What am I going to do?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, but as I was thinking, I was writing as well. And I was like, well, I always like to write. Let me do English. And so once I started doing English, that's when I was like, I don't really see myself being that. Okay, here's the mythology. Let's get into the like old school like stories. But I always knew like I wanted to write, so I was like, well, I'm gonna have to like sacrifice and do this. But once I figured out there was creative writing, I was like, okay, cool.
It's your avenue.
Yeah, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And then I got published, and I was like, that felt better than any win.
Right. I remember you saying that. Right.
I was like, oh man.
A different type of satisfaction.
Exactly, and I was like, you know what? Let me do this again, but also, I think the most like important thing was me actually being able to take the failure. Because like after a loss, I wouldn't talk to my mama at all. I'm in the car with a shirt over my head, like
Quiet, like silent car rap.
and my mama be like, she'll understand. But I think what made it like hurt even more, my mom knew football, so she'll be like, your lineman not blocking.
Oh, she would
gotta
tell
make sure
you
do
like,
this.
oh
And
yeah,
I'm like, I know,
you need to get this.
Exactly. And she be like, and you can throw the ball quick.
You holding the ball too long, right?
I'm like, I know.
What's his name was wide open,
Exactly.
like.
So I'm like, man, but I think actually seeing like me growing as a person more in writing rather than football, that's when it made me like, okay, I think this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
But I always loved film. So I was like, how can I incorporate my storytelling through my film? And I love telling stories, and I'm a fiction writer, but I love nonfiction.
Right.
But with nonfiction, I like expressing within fiction, I like expressing or telling someone else's story. So even if they don't know how to tell it, and that's where, as an athlete, and those like my series came along, so I was like, I can use this platform so other athletes that people don't consider athletes unless you're on TV. It's like use this platform for them to tell their stories.
What makes them special, right?
Exactly, because everyone, if you played a collegiate sport, like you're an athlete, and for the people that people see as dancers, skaters, and you're like, oh, these people, they just ride bikes. That's an athlete.
No, it is.
That's an athletic ability
For
that you trained or that you was gifted with by God. So I think those things are like important to me, and I always want to make sure like I always created my life, like in my entire life. So I feel like if I wasn't able to create, I feel like I'd probably be crazy right now. I'd be going insane.
I think that's beautiful you said that last part, because I don't speak for both of us, but I know we can both 100% relate to that. In the aspect that we couldn't imagine doing the same thing every single day.
I got you.
Couldn't imagine being able to express that part of ourselves that like makes like us who we are, you know, being creative people. And also even with the lifestyle that we're planning to live, you know, with us getting married in January and planning to go overseas, and it's not the most stable life. It's not the most like secure, you know, journey that we're going to be going on. But we both wouldn't have it any other way, like truly. Yeah. And it's crazy because, you know, I was talking to Valerie's mom yesterday of how things are like hectic. So many moving pieces. So many things going on. Yeah, I feel this peace about everything. We still don't know where we're going to live technically. It's November 25th. We get married in January. We have no idea where we're going to live. I'm not necessarily worried.
I got you.
I think that's the big part of why I think us coming together is so special too, is because we're believers. And having that trust in God, having that faith that whatever the circumstances we get, you know, thrown at us,
talking about faith,
we'll be okay. Yeah, exactly. So we'll get to figure it out. I don't know how. It's going to get figured out, though. It's going to get figured out.
What do you say? What's impossible for man is not possible for God.
Exactly. Exactly.
No. I think that's because everyone in the world is creative.
Everyone.
Yeah, I talk to my students. They be like, well, I'm not creative. This time I like.
They just don't know how to really tap into it.
Exactly. And I think understanding, like, just because you see all these people creative in this one thing, that doesn't mean you have to, I have to, if I'm not creative in that, I'm not creative. It's like, nah, you do whatever gift God gave you to be creative in, that's for you. And it's crazy because she actually drew. And I was like, you draw? I was like, that's creative. But she's seen it just as a hobby.
Yeah.
And I was like, but you draw through, like, you just like tracing, or is it coming from somewhere? And she was like, I think when I'm like emotional, like I draw. And I was like, that's your creativity right there. I was like, it speaks to you. And I was like, and somebody in this world that's going to speak to, but they won't know unless you put it out there. It was like, but it's not, I'm not like forcing you to put it out there. It's just, if you don't know like what you're passionate about, and you feel like this is where some of your passion lies, you never know.
Explore it, right?
Yeah, just put it, expose yourself and see what happens. Like, you never know.
You know, we met with your friend Lizzie Kelly.
Yeah.
We love her.
Love Lizzie.
Shout out to Lizzie if she's watching this. But what was the book that she read? It's by
Art as Worship or something?
Yeah, and basically when we met her and we made a video just about our experience as artists and as creative people.
Collaborating with her.
Yeah, collaborating with her. She said this quote, I think it was from the book or it was from her, that we're created to be creators. Like that's literally a part of our purpose. Like it's in human nature to want to create things,
Yep.
to want to build things.
That's
Like,
true.
I mean, look around the world that we have today. Like
Yeah.
it's just
What?
in us. It's in us to build things. It's in us to create
Yeah.
things. It's in us to be intuitive when it comes to that aspect. I think that something really special and powerful happens when we get in touch with the ultimate creator, you know, God, of course. And for me, I found that when I let go of myself, my own selfish desires of what I think should happen, or I think shouldn't happen, I find that things just happen to naturally fall into place more.
That's true.
And anytime I try to take over my own life and like make my own decisions, try to go with my own intuition, like it just never really works out.
No.
I always struggle, you know, anxiety, depression. People talk about all this stuff all the time. Like it's because you're trying to do life your own way. That's why you get so anxious. That's why you get like, how are you gonna go to an imperfect person to get the perfect answers? Right?
It's crazy you say that because I was even so the whole idea of like writer's block.
Mm-hmm.
Like at first, you know, I believed like, oh man, like I just can't like write nothing.
Right.
But then I actually thought about it, I was like, it's maybe because I keep trying to like, oh, I'm trying to plan
Trying
to
to
write
force
this.
an idea.
Exactly.
Right,
And it's
right.
like, it's crazy because majority of my stories always come at times where I'm not even thinking of writing.
You just living your life.
Exactly. I'm
You're
going about something happened. It could be the smallest thing, like the smallest thing. Like I remember I wrote a story about a table. And it was because the table just looked like it didn't look like a table.
Right.
It was like, and I was looking, I was, what the world? And I was in the story. I was just talking about the structure of a family and the structure of like relationships between a family. Like you go through different things with your family, but at the end of the day, it's your family. It's like you should always love your family.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, we probably disagree. We always like bump heads, or we stand on different sides of the fence. It was like, yeah, I'm gonna forever love you, but I'm not gonna bring you down or allow you to bring me down, basically.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that I got all that from the from the table. And I think in that instant, I was like, what the world? But I think all my stories come when I don't try to force it. And I think that's a lot of like, even human connection. I think a lot of people try to force human connection.
Yeah, force relationships,
it's
right.
like, oh, hey, like, we meet one day. Oh, yeah, that's my best friend. It's
Like, no.
no.
It's okay.
Like, give us some time. We may be best friends, but give us some time.
That's so real though.
Yeah.
That's so real.
I think it all falls in patience.
Yeah.
I think it all falls in patience, and I think we talked about that at the time we met. Like, I think that's something like I'm working on, like big, like patience. And just telling myself to slow down, like slow down, calm down.
I think even being on top of patience, being present. So you talk about how you wrote a whole story out of a table. The only way you can do that is by really looking and thinking about what does this table mean. Like it's more than just this block of matter, right? Like we use this table for certain things. We meet at this table for meals. We meet at this table for conversations, right? And the only way you can really think more and think deeply about anything really is by being present.
True.
Yeah.
Is that something you agree
True.
about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if you have an idea, like an artistic spark, you can't wait to like pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for instance, when we were writing about the table, if you would have had the idea and said, "Oh, I'm gonna write it next week,"
I got you.
you wouldn't be able to produce
Yeah.
At the
it.
time, yeah.
Because then a week later, you would be forcing the idea. It wouldn't be like a natural flow of creativity.
That's true.
And that's something I'm trying to work on because I get a lot of ideas, and I know ideas are just like, you never really run out of those.
Right.
But every time I wait to pursue it or wait to execute it, it leaves.
I got you.
And then I'm like, oh, but that was a good idea. But then when I'm forcing it,
I
it
got
doesn't.
you.
You don't have the same passion, right, as you had. I think I would definitely agree with that because, like I said a couple of days ago, I was brushing my teeth when I thought of this idea, just to sit and have a meal. I was thinking, Thanksgiving just passed a couple of days ago, and I was thinking about why do I personally love, celebrating Thanksgiving? And it's not because of the pilgrims and I don't care about that. I just don't, excuse me, whatever. But I think that for me, Thanksgiving is more about just giving thanks for all the things that God has given me in my life and all the blessings, the simple things about just waking up in the morning and having family, having people in my life that love me and people that I love, And at Thanksgiving, you sit around a table with food and have those conversations just like we're having now.
I got you.
So while I'm brushing my teeth thinking about it, I'm like, oh, let's just do that with Canary. Like, what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's just sit and just talk about life with each other,
Yeah,
Like,
true.
it doesn't always have to be. So I feel like when we were first sitting talking a couple of days ago, I was trying to like force the idea of like what should we shoot? What should we do? Like sometimes it's just simple. Like sometimes just sitting talking.
Come to you while you brushing
You know,
your teeth.
yeah, like, while you brush your teeth, like in line with everything you just said. Sometimes it just comes to you. But then when it comes to you, don't push it to the side. Like, oh, maybe we should do it next week. Like, let's just do it now. Do it when we can. You know.
Yeah.
That's been the biggest thing for us is writing things down. And you journal a lot, right? So I'm sure you can attest to that effectiveness.
No, and it's crazy. Not just to piggyback off what you were saying.
Yeah.
Even just the whole like idea of Thanksgiving. I think for me, I try to like urge people. It's one of like the questions we talked about. Like I try to urge people to, yes, this is a moment to be thankful, to be grateful, to actually be grateful that God bless you with another day to actually spend with your family and for your family to spend with you as well. I think, but we don't ask the questions in that moment. We just spend time together. Yeah. Like you probably have a family member in that moment that probably really needs to have a conversation, or a family member that's like to the side that's want to be a little bit closer. Right, they don't want to take that like initiative just to like be close. I think that comes with the question of like rather how are you doing? Are you okay?
Yeah. And I remember you saying that. I've been thinking a lot about that.
No, and I think that's like one of the things that I was talking to my mama about that. I was like, and my mama, she the one that brought it up, and I was like, yeah, it's big. Like I don't think I ever asked one of my brothers or like sisters or like niece and nephew like, are you okay? It's always like, how you doing? And, like I care like how they doing.
Yeah.
But it's like,
but you don't really think about it. It's just more of a cordial thing, right?
I'm asking to respond.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, like I need to actually be listening.
No, really, how are you?
He telling me something and I skip right over and he like, oh, you know, I mean, this is my little brother. I know. I'm gonna make sure like, well, like what is he? What if everything is okay with him? And I think that's like something like I think about a lot. Like I'd be like, oh man. I'd be like even now, like when I say, I'm like, you good? Like, are you okay?
Yeah.
They'd be like, yeah. And like I'm trying to like sit before I actually respond to see if they're gonna say something like, yeah.
You know, you asked that question when we first met, and I thought about it, and I got confession, Val, because Valerie would ask me. She doesn't ask me like, how are you doing? Are you okay? She'd be like, what's on your mind right now? Sometimes I don't even want to answer. I'm like, why are you asking that? Like, don't ask me that. I almost never really want to answer, but when she's asking that, it's a deeper level of not just like, are you okay? How are you doing? It's what's on your mind. What are you thinking about? You know, and it's her way of wanting to know me more, and it's her way of wanting to communicate better, right? And I think that I've been pushing myself more to answer those questions because sometimes. And I feel like it's human nature. I'm a huge case of this where I don't really want to tell people how I'm doing necessarily. No, especially if I'm not really doing too well, or if it's kind of a rough day, or if it's, you know.
But I like asking other people.
Yeah. I love asking other people. I want you to tell me all day, but don't ask me though. You know what I mean? Like, don't ask me how I'm doing. But I think that's the thing that being open is honestly another way that we can love each other. Because it's one thing to accept someone else for like hear about them, but you have to. It has to be reciprocated too for it to really be felt. You know. Yeah. And that's something that Valerie's definitely pushed me towards.
No, it's the showing appreciation. Yeah. Instead of just like telling you I care about you, you know, I have your best interests at heart. Like I'm showing you, like I really want to know.
Being vulnerable is another way of showing someone that I really do care about you. So I'm gonna tell you something about myself too.
And even the flip side of that, allowing someone to be vulnerable. Like I think sometimes you can't. Are you okay? You sure? You 100% about it?
You good? Like, hey, you good?
If that person don't want to share, they're not in this moment. But you just keep stay.
But being there for them.
Exactly.
Being there for them.
Because you never know. The next day you probably ask them, and they probably let it all. Like, you be like, oh, I didn't know it was gonna be all it is. And I think that's like that's big.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Because that could translate or mirror the way God pursues us. Like, we may not want to come to Him now, or we may not want to be vulnerable with God now, and like the things we're going through or what we're feeling, but He will always be there. He's still pursuing Him. He's still there.
Yeah, and He already knows. He just wants you to tell Him. Yeah.
And it's so amazing how that works too, because our relationships here on Earth. You know, I always like to break it down and look at it as we have our horizontal relationships, right? With friends, family, strangers, whatever.
I got you.
And then we have our vertical. Obviously, it's not technically vertical, but with God, it's that vertical relationship, right? For me, the only way I can really be right with all my horizontal relationships is if I have my vertical relationship right first, you know? And even when looking at our friendships that we have with, our siblings, our parents, grandparents, people that we just met on the street, whatever, like, right?
With you.
How we treat each other and how we respond to each other, how we interact with each other. A lot of times, all we really are searching for is connection at the end of the day. Like, that's really all we really want. And for anyone to say they don't want to be loved, they're lying. Like, every single person who has ever been born, like, wants to be loved, whether they want to admit it or not.
Yeah. It's whether they want to admit it or not, or whether they know it or not.
Whether they know it or not,
Some
exactly.
people feel like they don't deserve to be
Exactly.
loved.
That doesn't mean they don't want it.
Exactly.
I was that person.
They don't know how to.
And I was that person. I didn't feel like I deserved to be happy. I remember before I really started pursuing love and pursuing Jesus, anytime I would find myself happy, and this is especially after my mom passed, I didn't feel like, I'm like, why am I happy right now? Why am I enjoying this little thing? Like, I would just get in this deep depressed mode because I didn't feel like I deserved it. And I shouldn't be happy right now, when the people I love the most aren't here with me or anything like that. And the case is, like, still even to this day, I don't deserve love, but because of God, I'm able to feel it. I'm able to express it. Like, that's the biggest gift.
And it's crazy because love is God.
Yeah.
Everybody deserves them. Now, in the sense of you building a relationship with Him and actually following His word and practicing holiness and tearing for the Holy Spirit, that's your choice.
Exactly.
And that's when it comes to, okay, cool. When Judgment Day comes, it happens how it goes. How you went about your life,
and
the choices you make.
That's so beautiful because that's the most important part for us, especially when it comes to comfort space, is this is all we can ever express. Like, if you ever ask me how do you make it through tough situations, tough circumstances, trials and tribulations, ups and downs, yada yada, whatever, I will only ever say Jesus. I will only ever say God. That's the only answer I can ever give, because that's truly how I live my life. That's truly how all of us, I'm sure, would agree with that statement, right?
Wouldn't be right
here. Exactly,
right
I wouldn't. And that doesn't mean if you disagree, if you don't believe that, if you're not understanding that like you're wrong or you're lesser than. No, not at all. Like, that's the exact opposite. Because I was there too. I was lost just like you were. Like, whoever might be listening, whoever might be watching, it's like, it's okay to be lost, but how can you be found?
Exactly.
How can I be found?
Exactly. It's okay to be lost, and it's okay to be lost if ignorant on it.
Right.
You don't know. But if you do know and you keep choosing that, then it's like, it's a choice.
That's when you find yourself in that
Exactly.
that war inside.
Exactly.
That war. Oh,
exactly.
man.
I think, and that's what they say, that the whole idea of, like, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
It's like, it's bliss when you just don't know.
Yeah.
But you're searching for it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, I don't know. Or when you're taught it, oh, now I know. The beauty of being able to erase that ignorance and be able to start your journey within figuring it out.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beautiful part within it.
Yeah. All right, I got to ask a question. Rating meal here.
Oh, I can already. You can go first, man. I got mine.
Yeah, you go first. Rate our not so soup, but Italian chili. Honest. See, changing the name of it changes the whole experience of it, doesn't it?
Yeah. It prepared me for the taste. It prepared me for the taste.
It's an Italian chili. What do you rate it?
So originally the plan was tomato soup, and this is kind of like tomato soup with other stuff.
Yeah.
It's an Italian chili now.
Mm-hmm.
I loved our mix of cheeses.
What do you rate it though?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'll give it a 9.
9? Okay.
I liked it a lot.
Okay.
Good balance of spice.
Okay. Is it food critic?
Yeah. Actually
8. 8? Whoa! You dropped down.
Tough crowd.
Hey. He's like that. Go ahead.
The chili, that's a 10. I can't even lie.
8.
Like,
yeah.
I came in with the mindset of, ooh, because I'm very picky with food. I can't lie.
Okay, you are? Okay, that's good.
I'm very
that's
picky.
even
like,
better.
If it would have been bad, y'all probably see me look at the camera like, and like that. But I can't say it. The chili is a 10. The bread, the only reason it's not a 9, I give it an 8.
Okay.
I think the goat cheese.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
It. Yeah.
It's a particular flavor.
Yeah,
like, some people like it or they don't.
I thought it was gonna be you have queso fresco.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I thought it was gonna be like that.
It's a little stronger than that. Yeah,
it's a little stronger.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
So I give chili 10. Overall, 18 out of 20.
Hey, I'll take an 18. That's pretty good. Hey, thank you very much.
What you give it yourself? You the cook.
I'm gonna be biased always. But
given that
In
it's
terms of-
chili and not the soup.
I found that anytime I try to make a soup, it becomes a chili or something.
Yeah.
I tried making this Mexican bean soup, it became a Mexican chili real quick.
Man, chili
But
is your
that
thing.
job was so good though.
Chili is your
In
thing.
terms of all my chilies, this is a 9. I really enjoy this.
But
Yeah,
what
it's
does
delicious.
what does it rank within all your chilies? Is it a top 5 or is it a
I would rank this 3.
3?
I rank this 3.
Ooh.
Top 3 for sure. I like the flavor complex, and this is actually a vegan chili too.
Oh dang.
So
Oh, well, it's light. That
yeah.
explains it.
It's like I
light.
can eat a lot of it and not feel like really weighed down and heavy.
The other
It's
place-
vegan sausage.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
That's
It tastes
crazy.
pretty good though, right?
I thought it was regular sausage.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
I would say in terms of that, it's definitely a 9. 9 overall for me, and then a 3 overall rating for my top chilies.
10 rating for the experience.
10 for the experience.
10 for the
Conversations
quality
are good. Quality time is good for me. I think that at least for the meal, like we're really appreciative of being able to meet you, you know,
I'm
and
appreciative of the meal. Y'all actually
yeah, honestly,
taking
just
time
like
out,
getting to
like-
sit and like talk to you more
We
and
love
yeah, learn more about you. We love cooking. We love making meals. We already told you like in the future we want to be able to do this more with people
We
and
can definitely. Yeah.
food can always bring people together. I feel
Yeah.
like it's such a
Especially-
powerful tool.
And it's crazy because my only change to that, good food.
Good
I
food.
feel like,
Hey, you're
I feel
right.
like bad food,
Yeah,
people
yeah.
kind of look at you different, like,
Right.
ooh, like what's
Right.
bad about it? Like, what's
Right.
bad?
Unless you're bonding over not like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
A good meal
Yeah,
though.
I take that back. I
A
take
good
that
meal
back,
will
yeah.
it will bring people back.
Yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
bring people back. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Nah, that's true.
You know, it'll bring people back to the dinner table, especially when you got people come for seconds too.
Yeah. I feel like we're coming to an end of this.
Yeah.
But I can say, like, last question.
Yeah,
And I
please.
start from this way, going this way forward.
Okay, so Val's up first. Okay.
Are you okay?
Ooh, I'm moderately. I'm okay. I'm okay.
Whoa. Whoa. Something to that.
No, because I feel like lately, literally yesterday, it like kind of threw me for a whirl. I thought I was doing so good, and then my mom was like, "You've been less bubbly." She was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, yeah. I was like, "What do you mean?" She was like, "You've just been less bubbly." And then I was like, "Ben, have I been less bubbly?" And he
I
was
said
like-
yes.
And he was like, "Yes." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" I think I feel okay on the inside. Like I feel peace, but I have had a lot of responsibility lately of like figuring out our lives, figuring out wedding stuff, figuring out everything
Yeah.
in between, and going to work at the same time and trying to balance everything. That I think I've kind of just like been in this mode of like
I got you.
Go.
kind of autopilot. So it's like I'm okay, but I could be better.
Okay.
Once those like responsibilities
I
are
got you.
passed,
Yeah.
I think
Back
I'll
on
feel
track.
lighter.
I got you. You, Ben?
Yeah. I'm feeling blessed, honestly. At the end of the day, I think that life's all about perspective. So for me, anytime I start to feel those, cause I mean, I'll bounce back. I mean, Valerie and I are both kind of handling the same things with just life planning, figuring out truly what we're going to do in terms of pursuing comfort space, pursuing careers, how we're going to make money, and all these things. Because at this point, we're not making any money from the videos that we do, all the stuff that we're producing. So spending all this time, all this effort into something that's not necessarily paying dividends back yet, it can be really easy to get discouraged. So I felt that a lot these past couple of weeks. However, at the same time, like, I woke up this morning, I got air in my lungs, I can move around. God's blessed me with a good body to be able to move and do all these things, and I have people in my life that love me, people I love, like I said. I have Valerie. She's honestly one of the truest blessings I've ever gotten from God. So, yeah, like I said, it's all about perspective, right? So, it's definitely been hectic the last couple months. It's going to be a hectic next couple months, too.
I got you.
But, like, I wouldn't have it any other way, you know?
Yeah.
God won't give you anything that you can't handle. So, though it might feel like a lot, though that pressure is coming down, we won't fold,
No,
We'll be
never
okay.
fold.
So, feel good.